my presentation on CultureLabs. So CultureLabs is a project, a research and innovation project funded under the Societal Challenges pillar by the European Union. This pillar aims to foster more inclusive, reflective and innovative societies. In my presentation, I will try to explain what CultureLabs is about. And if I had to boil it down into a dozen words, I would say that CultureLabs aims to help actors to organize participatory projects for social innovation through culture heritage. And already this very short mission statement is very dense and includes some terms that need probably further clarification and elaboration. What is social innovation about? What do we mean when we say participatory? Who are these actors which we want to be of aid of? And how are we going to help them? So let me start by explaining the concept of social innovation, because probably some of you are not familiar with this term. So social innovation refers to practices that seek to address social needs of communities, and especially communities that encounter forms of marginalization, leading to new ways and means of collaboration and organization. Social innovation usually jumps out from unusual encounters, from the collaboration between people that at first glance may not seem to have much in common. And CultureLabs seeks to look into what can bring different people together. So we're interested into knowing what can connect, for example, a museum professional, a community activist, a migrant worker, and a hacker. And I think this coming together of people from different backgrounds and the mixing of ideas is also reflected in the composition of our consortium, which includes partners coming from from 6 different European countries, including Greece, the UK, Finland, Italy, Spain, Germany. The consortium includes universities and research institutes, museums, organizations affiliated with public authorities, an NGO working with migrants, a social innovator, and an ICT company. Let me move on to explain what we mean by participation. CultureLabs seeks to contribute towards the development of more participatory models for the interpretation and governance of cultural heritage. And the chief difference between traditional and participatory approaches is that traditional approaches are about something, for example, an exhibition about paintings from the Renaissance, and for someone. So they're usually, it is the expert who shape how objects are meant to be understood and displayed to the public. While participation refers to initiatives that are co-created, that are created and managed with the people, with communities. So community members are invited to discuss together with professionals, to propose their own ideas, to challenge the ideas of the institutions, so that institutional cultural heritage becomes more relevant to communities and relevant to more communities. So CultureLabs proposes practices and facilitating tools that can create bridges between institutions on one side and communities on the other. And we focus on communities that are at risk of exclusion and which are disconnected from dominant cultural heritage. And we draw our case studies particularly from different migrants and refugees communities. So we consider within the project different groups that belong to this big category, large categories of migrants and refugees, considering groups with different characteristics in terms of ethnicity, religion, social class, legal status, educational and culture background. The objective of CultureLabs is twofold. On one hand, we try to promote projects that enable migrants to learn about the cultural heritage of their host country, to make the valuable cultural heritage kept in museums more accessible to them, and so that they can benefit from the expertise, the infrastructure, the services offered by institutions. And in tandem with that, we also want to promote projects that raise awareness about the usually underdocumented and informal, but very vibrant and rich grassroots cultural heritage of these communities. We want to enable members of migrant communities to collaborate with institutions, and we see them as bearers and producers of culture, as well as decision makers, and active participants in culture projects. Okay, this arrow is a little bit out of place, sorry. Okay, but who are the beneficiaries, the actors that we aim to help, to be of help of? So, CultureLabs tools and practices are addressed to museums and other cultural heritage institutions. They are addressed to civic society organizations, so for example, NGOs working with disadvantaged groups, migrant associations, culture associations. It is addressed to individual community members who want to assume a more active role, and to public administrations which are interested in implementing policies for integration and intercultural understanding via cultural heritage. And in the first part of the project, we're in the middle of the project, whose overall duration is 3 years, and so far we have spent a lot of time and effort in talking with stakeholders. And we have conducted a quite extensive survey to understand what kind of barriers they encounter and what their needs are in terms of facilitators, tools that can help them. And here I have summarized some quotes from interviews we have conducted with several stakeholders, institutions, professionals, community members, which I think already point us to some very interesting directions. So first of all, there is need for systematization. And systematization refers to all phases of running a project, from its conception to its co-design, to its implementation. There is also need to access useful knowledge about past experiences. And also the ability to reuse this knowledge and further develop it. Stakeholders also acknowledge the fact that usually the knowledge that exists conveys only the results, the successful results of projects, while the most interesting part of the project is the process that led to these results. And this includes the insights, the background knowledge, tips, the unsuccesses, as the person put it. And this knowledge is often lost, also in the context of the same organization, because people tend to focus on creating websites that advertise the successful results of the projects, and that's all. And also, there is an acknowledgement that there is no one-size-fits-all solution. So there is a need for people to be able to customize and advise and adapt existing practices to their own needs, so as to serve different objectives, target groups, institutions, settings. And this is where the CultureLabs platform comes. And it is an ICT platform that aims to facilitate the organization and wider deployment of participatory projects via the provision of ingredients and recipes that can be appropriated and reused by different actors in different settings. So in the projects, we are in a continuous process of collecting and documenting a rich variety of resources that can be helpful for the organization participatory projects. These resources can be description of past experiences, best practices, guidelines, policies, very practical materials, digital and physical tools and methods that can be used to facilitate the organization of participatory projects. And these resources will be made openly available and searchable via the ICT platform. The platform is still under development. We're in the middle of the project, as I already said, and it will be released by the end of this year. So I'm sorry that I cannot share a link with you and I cannot give a demo here, but I will try to understand the functionality, to explain the functionalities that this platform supports. And through this platform, users are guided to structure the knowledge in a way that does not only convey the results of the project, but also the process that led to them, the background knowledge, and also supports them to adapt existing practices, recipes, to their own needs. Okay, in order to better convey what the CultureLabs platform is about, we borrow from the culinary terminology. So, a recipe is a structure that describes how to carry out a participatory project. It is characterized by a set of parameters, for example, the collaborators of this project, the target groups, the participants, probably its cost, its duration. It is linked to a set of ingredients which may be of different format, from videos, documents, links, images, that can be useful for running this project. And this project can be an already implemented project or an ongoing, a project that is currently being planned. A recipe includes a set of steps, so a set of activities that take place during the project, and also a set of outcomes, which could be a digital exhibition and video, photos from a physical exhibition, and also it includes a set of tips, so a piece of practical advice, especially advice on matters that project organizers, whose importance project organizers do not anticipate in advance. Let me give an example. So this is, okay, again, there is something wrong with, okay. Well, the ingredients are totally missing, so sorry for that. There are some technical problems. But this is a recipe, an example of a recipe about a past project that ran in the UK called Traditional Times. It was an intergenerational project that engaged Muslim women from South Asia who shared their hobbies from back home in the 60s and 70s. It was run by the Manchester Museum in collaboration with an NGO working with migrants and the British Museum. And so a number of resources could be helpful for organizing such a project. These resources could be, for example, a video about embroidery techniques that could be used on one of the hands-on workshop that was organized as part of this project. It could be a link to a website about a relevant other project, which is called the Big Fat Asian Wedding. And it could include a document, a manual about guidelines regarding the integration of migrant women. And it also describes a set of activities that took place as part of this project. So at the beginning there were discussions and interviews with the participants. Then they were invited to explore the British Museum South Asian collection, and then a number of workshops about the oral history and embroidery techniques took place. And finally, the project culminated in the production of a digital and physical exhibition. And a lesson learned during this project that might be useful to share also with other stakeholders is that food is an important aspect of coming together and socializing. So please make sure it's important to provide for good catering or invite the participants to organize a meal together. And this is how a recipe would look like on the platform. Okay, so what can a user do with the CultureLabs platform? Users can discover inspirational and practical materials, so different resources that can be helpful for the projects through advanced search functionalities. They can create and structure their own project in the form of a recipe. They can share this, they can invite other users to collaborate on co-creating this recipe, and the platform supports different levels of collaboration, so you can share with a user who is only allowed to view and comment on the recipe or co-edit the recipe. They can reuse and adapt existing recipes to their own needs. There is a number of functionalities for communication and feedback collection, and also, the platform offers opportunity to find collaborators or organizations which offer useful facilities that can be useful for your project so that you expand your network of collaborators. The main platform is interconnected with two existing platforms which have been developed by project partners. A platform, the WITH platform, which has been developed by the National Technical University of Athens, which offers a number of services for creative interactions with digital heritage. For example, this platform allows you to structure and launch an online crowdsourcing campaign. There is an exhibition editor with which you can create a digital online exhibition, and relevant links are provided, so if you're interested you can check the offered services yourself. And also there is the Whatify platform developed by Platonic, which offers a set of physical and digital tools that can be useful for the organization of co-creation workshops, and especially tools that can be useful in a live setting, so a live note-keeping where people can see others' comments in a live, real-time manner. So within the framework of, there will be 4 pilots which will validate and evaluate in practice how the CultureLabs recipes and facilitating tools, the platform, can benefit institutional stakeholders and community members. There will be 2 pilots in Italy, 1 in the UK, and 1 will take place in Finland. Each pilot has its own objectives, target groups, and network of collaborators, but they all share the common objective of promoting intercultural dialogue, mutual understanding, and social inclusion through culture heritage activities. So, the pilot to take place in Helsinki, called Zoom In on Heritage, is led by Museo Virasto, the Finnish heritage agency. It aims to reflect diversity in Finland through storytelling and documentation of living cultural heritage. It involves members of the Russian-speaking community, the Somali community, and members of a group of female migrants with different backgrounds. And members of these communities are invited to learn about the photographic collections of the museum and discover, together with professional facilitators, new ways of using and telling stories around it. And photographic material will also be collected from participants, and a new digital and physical exhibition, photographic exhibition, will be produced, co-created by the participants. The second pilot will take place in Manchester, led by, it's called More in Common, and it's led by the People's History Museum in Manchester. This pilot seeks to investigate what members of quite diverse communities have in common, so including natives, refugees, second-generation migrants, and the aim is to co-produce an exhibition inspired by the memorial wall, which is a tribute to the Member of Parliament, Go Cox, who was murdered 3 years ago by a right-wing extremist. The pilot in Ancona, called Bridging Cultures Through Art, will be led by Marce Cooperazione Sociale Onlus, which is an NGO that offers several services to disadvantaged groups, including refugees and migrants. Its main objective is to bring together locals and migrants who live in a neglected neighborhood in Iesi. Stories about the different cultures across generations will be collected, videos and a mural will be co-created so as to visualize the different cultural identities that are present in this multi-ethnic neighborhood. And then the second pilot in Italy will take place in Pisa. It's called So Distant, Incredibly Close, led by Fondazione Sistema Toscana in collaboration with museums from the Sistema Museale di Ateneo. It involves members of communities from the broader, different migrant communities from the broader area, who will be invited to learn more about the collections of these museums and build together with professionals and facilitators, alternative narratives that connects museum exhibits with migrants' own cultural heritage. So to sum up and conclude, CultureLabs proposes an ICT platform that can act as a mediator and facilitator of participatory projects in the fields of cultural heritage and social innovation, and offers a set of tools that can streamline and structure and facilitate the co-design and implementation of such projects. Thank you.